He got carted off back to jail. So then I was left with this business. And actually, I wasn't really prepared to be an entrepreneur. I have a math degree, okay? Like I did really well at it, but it's hard. Like you're just studying and there's nothing kinetic about it. When I come home from a good work day, man, I just feel like I don't need to do anything. I did it. I got what I needed to do done.
Welcome to the Art of ADHD. I'm your host, Liam Danger Park. And on today's episode, we're meeting with Nasim Jamal. Nasim is a self-proclaimed junk counselor and a garbage removal expert. He's turned a knack for chaos into a thriving career. In this episode, we explore finding meaning in the menial, the spiritual and emotional weight of stuff, figuring out your own vision of success. I hope you have as much fun listening as I did recording it.
Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Nasim. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, this will be good. It'll be like regular chat, but other people can enjoy it as well, or learn something or have fun with it.
Yeah.
So
let's start with like your business, because like we're in a lot of ADHDers entrepreneurial spirit, but these days, like when you hear entrepreneur, like so much of it is like, I have a
text firm,
blah blah blah. I've got a side hustle,
selling things on Amazon, whatever, that kind of thing. So
yeah, what is?
Well, my business is junk removal for the most part, but I've got two different websites. I've got a moving website and a junk removal, so people can call me for either of those two type of things, and it ended up being a good fit for me. So the way I stumbled into it, this and that, because every day it's so random. And the thing I realize about my brain as I've gotten older and understand it is you just crave moving between different things, right? Yeah. You want to jump, your brain wants to jump around. It doesn't mind going back to the same things over and over again, which you do, but you like jumping around. So you show up at a junk job and, man, what do I got today, baby? Yeah. The brain just starts firing. The neurons just start going when you see all the different stuff you get, right? And what do you do with it? Disposal, recycling, and this type of thing. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think that's interesting because, like, I feel like our culture over the last couple generations has really denigrated work, like actual work. Like, I remember hearing so many times, like, oh, study hard, work hard.
So you don't end up being
a garbage man.
Exactly.
But you're one of the happiest people I know, and you're a garbage man. So, like...
Well, when my parents did that and all the kids went to school, I did a math degree. Yeah. I have a math degree, okay? Like I did really well at it, but it's hard. Like you're just studying and there's kinetic too, right? There's nothing kinetic about it. Like, look, if I don't work for a while, I just, I get antsy and I have to go for a hike and this and that, but it's not the same as having kind of like a directed workflow where you're in an environment and you're trying to accomplish something and things are changing. Decisions are being made on the fly. And so, when I come home from a good work day, man, I just feel like I don't need to do anything. I did it. I got what I needed to do done. And, the school environment, the structured environment, it was tough for me to be in because of that reason, right? Yeah. It's just too much like, man, for starters, you're going to the same place every day for starters.
Yeah.
Right. With junk, I'm driving all that over Hell's Half Acre half the time. You know what I mean? 30% of all the deliveries I did, they're one-offs. And so in a year of delivering, some of these places I only went to once.
Yeah.
So you go down this dirt road, you're up this hill. I remember we pulled up to this one guy. He was working a sawmill in the middle of the forest. Okay. And he can't even hear us because the sawmill's so loud. So he finishes, he looks up, he sees us there, and I bring him the package, and he was like, delivery? His eyes rolling in his head. So yeah, anyway, so that was, you just get these, with ADHD, like I say, you kind of crave these unique experiences, right? To go places and whatever. And it can, you can end up doing end up in trouble with that too, right? You end up weird, dark places. You follow someone who seems a little sketchy. Go, this could be interesting. I'll just see where this leads. And so, you just kind of, I think that's part of maybe your, helping other ADHDs is, learning discretion and judgment early on. Like I would say, you need a good mentor, which I didn't have, by the way.
Yeah.
And so you end up, anyway. So, but it's worked out, I would say, so far. Yeah.
So like that stimulation, like I've heard you tell me a bit about like, yeah, enjoying taking apart pianos and stuff. And I think like with the, my family, we've been pretty good at collecting junk a lot of our life. And I feel like the temptation of like being in junk collection is dangerous. You might collect some junk. What do you think some of the most interesting junk you've collected over the years?
Well, I mean, it always changes because what your stimulation threshold changes, right? I mean, I love taking apart pianos because, again, think about what a piano is. There's thousands of tiny little pieces, and I thought pianos would have all been the same, but the way the mechanisms work are all different. So every time you take one apart, you're looking, oh, okay, instead of this lifting this goes here now and that goes there. So pianos, to an ADHD brain, you just get so excited as you're taking them apart. And it's kind of, the nice thing is it's kind of guilt-free. I mean, growing up playing piano, which is a tough thing because, you got to practice and, you want to do different songs in ADHD, but piano takes a lot of time and patience to learn your songs. So you got to work hard to get to the next one. I mean, this is normal human stuff too, but to get to take apart a piano, like imagine as a kid to go, this thing that your parents had paid thousands and thousands of dollars and all this money for lessons, you put in all this time, they're like, okay, now smash this piano open now and look at all the pieces, right? So it's kind of crazy actually, but I mean, that was the appeal of it. But the problem is nowadays there's no market for them. What's going to happen, like everything in junk, there's cycles. Okay, so when I first started, it would have been like, oh, I'm picking up people's record collections and old tube TVs or whatever, just slight variations in the types of junk. And then I've been doing almost 15 years, so 15 years later, that stuff that I was getting 15 years ago is collectible now, right? You go on Marketplace, people are buying CRTs. They're hunting for them. They want these things. And back then, you couldn't throw them away fast enough. So pianos are at that peak right now where I'm getting a lot of them. They're going to get rid of them. And you wait another 10 years, and they're going to be desirable again, even though they're heavy and bulky. Because the boomers will retire. Most of them, I'm at the dump. I see them going in the bins. And then, but that's, any kind of cycle like that. So I don't know, something like that.
So I love your enthusiasm. And like, so you're describing like this. Your siblings have some sort of education.
Yeah.
You got
math degree.
You got a math degree. I've never really asked you. Your name's Nasim.
Nasim, yeah. I go by Nas.
But like, is that like a... Are you Indian?
No, actually, good. So, because I'm mixed background, so I get mistaken. People go, Lebanese, he's this, might be North African. So my dad's Iranian, and my mom's kind of like French or English or a whole bunch of European stuff. You know what I mean? A bit of Italian in there too. So, So the thing about mixed background people, you kind of not really sure where to go with them. They go, what are they, kind of thing. So
it's just imagining like a lot of stereotypes around like certain groups who are like, they want their kids to be doctors and lawyers and stuff. Like,
well, so, that definitely is from like my dad's side of the family, the culture, like, engineer, doctor kind of thing, So I had to power through the degree, and then I go, well, I don't really want to go anywhere with it. So then I just jumbled around jobs for a while, and then I was working this odd job at the skating, the hockey rink there, and I met a guy, and he'd just gotten out of jail, and he goes, "Oh, hey, I'm starting this moving junk removal business. Do you want to help me out?" And I was like, yeah, that sounds like crazy and different. So I jumped on that. So we started doing. I was helping him, and it was going pretty well for a while. And then we did that for a few months, and it was a really interesting business. That's where my first taste of junk removal as a business was. And then, but then he ended up being a bad boy, and he got carted off back to jail. So then I was left with this business, and actually I wasn't really prepared to be an entrepreneur. It was really tough going for a while, how to, be self-motivated, work on your own advertising, collecting the money, all this sort of thing. So like, I don't know that I would have gotten into this business had this guy not dragged me into it, kind of thing. So It was a pretty interesting start to a business, to join a guy and then
he gets...
and he's carted off to jail, and you're like, oh, I guess I got a business now. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's funny. Like, how did you move past that, like, guilt or that expectation of, like, because a lot of people with ADHD, they really struggle with that. They want to...
I got pushed through the gates, but what would I say? There's a lot of pieces to running your own business. Okay, I mean, for starters, running a truck, people don't realize, and I didn't realize this, running a truck is very, very different than running almost any car. You know what I mean? Before that, I'd had a Honda, and I was driving around, and we'd pick up a work truck. But then when I had to switch to getting my own work truck, it's like, oh, looking at trucks are just, I don't know why, just everything is more expensive. It's more difficult. It's more complicated. There's more hoops to jump through. It seems like, oh, it's just a car and you chop the back off it or whatever. It turns out it's not the case. So I'm looking forward to the day when I retire and I can get rid of a truck and go back to having a car again. It's just going to be like this whole world of that. So that's the truck side. So I guess that falls under equipment and tools. And like there were a lot of tools I needed to learn how to use. And, through my dad, I knew a bit of carpentry stuff, but, whether it be grinders or chainsaws or all this stuff, I didn't know how to use that stuff. So, YouTube was your friend, but often I learned most of it just through, you got to find people still nowadays who just show you little tricks or whatever that, like, for example, I broke my trailer and I had to learn how to weld, and I had to watch videos straight for like 3 weeks. And now that I know how to do it, someone could have shown me in like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? I just kind of coached you through it. So as I get older, I realize coaching and mentorship in different fields, it's invaluable. Like, you can get through on your own, but it's just so much more difficult. And so as I get older, I actually am kind of looking for the opportunity to mentor people. And I do. And I see that when I get a chance to, it's such a big deal because I know how much work it took, even with all the things that are available today, to watch. It's really what it is. As someone with experience, you watch someone doing something and then you go, as they're making a mistake, you go, well, actually, maybe try this. And then that's when you get the chance to save them, all the grief that may go into, learning it on their own sort of thing. So being available to watch someone make mistakes and coach them at that point. So,
But like, how about like the family expectations? Like, do you worry about that, or is that ever...
They were pretty good. I mean, I don't know how other people's family, the parents were good, but they were, I don't know, their particular generation, like, they didn't have a lot of education, just sort of high school or less than high school. So they weren't able to really help me. And so that's why I kind of, at 50, I'm just learning a business that most guys who get in junk removal, they're 20 years old, you get a pickup truck and you drive around and, like, it's easy, low entry, but it took me a long time to get into it because I didn't have any mentorship or coaching. So that's for better or for worse. You learn things on your own, and it's frustrating and it's ultimately rewarding. But the West Coast is very much more like that. You know what I mean? Like, from everything I hear, back East, there's more experience there, and there's more professions there, and people draw you in, and there's more mentorship. Here in BC, for some reason, we're gravitated to this idea of that people should just be like, hey, you know what? I want to wake up tomorrow and be a dentist, and just be like, hey, I'm just gonna be a dentist, and like, invite your friend over. Hey, here you got a sore tooth. Just come on over and I'll fix your. And that's kind of what like our province is like. Maybe some of the more specialized professions, but pretty much that's how it seems to be over here. It's just kind of fly by the seat of our pants sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
DIY, less like
DIY. And people don't even want to hire a professional. They go, I know there's professionals who do this job, but everyone's always looking for just some guy who knows how to do it. They don't even want credentials. They just, you got a guy who knows how to do this. I don't really want someone who knows what they're doing. I just want a guy who knows how to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how we do things here. It's just, I don't know. That's so crazy,
So being like, you point out your age there, 50, like the cultural perspective on ADHD's changed a lot over the years. When did you like start to suspect that maybe you got a different kind of brain?
This is a good story because it involves a mutual friend, our friend Mary.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was living with roommates at the time. And up to that point, I did have a mood disorder, and I still do. It's well treated though with like the supplements that I'm taking now. But I didn't really have an ability to know that I also had ADHD on top of that until the mood disorder was kind of like fairly well treated, right? So I was working in the yard one day and I'm carrying things around, and Mary's in the house on the main floor, and she's watching me. She's kind of, whatever. She's in the living room doing her own thing, but watching people, as people like to do. Like my own YouTube, I do work and people just like to watch people do things, right? So who doesn't like to watch someone gardening or fixing a truck? So she'd watch me from time to time. And then one day we were chatting and she goes, "Oh, your process is really interesting." And I go, "My process?" Okay.
Yeah.
So over the next few days, I started thinking about, I go, what is my process? And then I go, wait a minute. I start jobs, I get into them, and once they're going pretty good, I go, boom, throw that over there, and I'll start another job. And I'll get into that, and I'll get that job going pretty good. And, oh, better not finish that one. Throw that job over in the corner, start another job. And by the time I got 4 or 5 jobs going, and then I'm like, then my brain's like, oh yeah, now we're doing good here. And then I could jump back and I could finish 1 or finish 2. And then, oh, I'm running out of jobs. I better, I better start another random job, get it on the table.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that and I go, oh, that's really interesting. And then about that time, just getting to know my parents as an adult, and my mom started talking, your dad, he's got ADHD, he just jumps around. And I go, oh, and then I started connecting the dots with myself and with him. And so I realized I got that pretty much. I got the ADHD from my dad and I got the mood disorder from my mom, actually. It's exactly the breakdown of that. And so watching my dad and understanding my dad now, understanding myself, seeing how he does things, right? So there you go. That's the jumping around, starting jobs, and waiting till you have enough of them till you can finish one.
Yeah, that you get to that level, you can have productive procrastination.
Productive procrastination.
Like, I don't want to do this, but hey, I got this other important thing. Yeah.
It'd be so easy to finish. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I stop things and they're just like, they're almost done. And there's just no sense in stopping. And so that's when you start to get that self-analysis. You look and go, why don't I just finish that? It would be so easy. And you can just feel your brain resisting. It's like, no, don't finish that job. Don't finish it. Go, like, start something else. And you're just, and then so starting to accept, okay, that's what I do, but just starting to learn and understand that a little better right now. So,
have you found because and if you can't do 80% of someone's junk removal, like, have you found?
Well, this is the beautiful thing about work in general, where other people ask you to do things. There's a trigger in the human mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That if someone asks you to do something, as a human in general, you're predisposed to like attach some certain value. It's like ding, ding, ding. It's like, it's like Mario Brothers, and certain points are attached. Like, oh. And it's not even the money. I'll tell you, I've learned that over the years. Like, at first you thought it was the money, and there's the process you work through. Is it the respect? Is it the money? Is it the interaction? There's something about all of that where if someone asks you to do something, to me, it kind of like, it immediately bumps to a very high priority, like almost number one. And so I've learned that about myself too. And even like as I've become successful now and whatever, I don't even care if someone can pay properly. Like, you know what I mean? I love it if someone phones and they've got a bad situation and they don't have any money, but like, look, if someone generally phones and they've got money and it's normal, I'm just going to charge them the normal rate. But if someone phones and they're in a terrible situation, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I'm just excited that they want me to do something.
Yeah.
I like the validation of that relationship. But the thing is, you don't get that validation from them until you finish it.
Yeah.
Whereas that means bring all that junk home. They don't care that it's sat in your driveway in your garage for 2 years and you're still processing it, right? They're really happy once that last piece of junk goes in your truck.
Yeah.
And you drive away with it. So there is something good about that, because as an ADHD person, the problem is if you don't have work and someone telling you what to do or asking you to do things, after a couple weeks of self-directed stuff, it becomes tough because your brain jumps around so much. Like my own environment, I'm starting things, finishing things, starting things, finishing things. But it's not the same to me, the same validation as someone going, Liam's like, hey, Nas, I got some junk. I'm like, Liam needs junk. Go over, do it. Liam's happy. Boom. Whatever, I get paid, I don't get paid. Sometimes, I don't get paid. When I first started doing this job and I didn't get paid, I'm so mad about it and this and that. And nowadays, obviously, I'm better at vetting people. I go, is this person likely to not pay me? What are the risk profiles? And most people pay, you know what I mean? Like 1 or 2 people a year. So you learn that. But the point is, you get excited because someone's going to ask you to do something, and then your ADHD brain's going to go, bop, 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 bop. That's super important and exciting, and you want to do it right now. So, so you just drop the 5 projects you were doing, you go and do that, and then you come back, and then you get that little endorphin boost or whatever, I guess dopamine boost, whatever it might be. So
I feel like that speaks to one of the things I've found is like one of the really good tools and strategies for managing ADHD is making things not about yourself, because even the things that are apparently about yourself, like health and well-being,
right? My parents will care about me. What's Kitty gonna say if you start just eating Cheetos on the couch and you're getting all greasy because you haven't showered for 2 days, right?
Yeah, like if I'm fat, I can't move, I fall over and I need help getting up, like that costs the people around me.
That's such a good way to think about it, because there's things that, like certain things that I need to do, that the easier way for me to think about them is go, so-and-so wants me to do that. Even though it really is a me thing, they kind of don't care. You're right. That's a good strategy. That's very clever. It's a good way to frame it. Make it about other people.
Yeah. Make it for a bigger purpose. It's like even eating well, like I eat well and it supports farmers because I go to the farmers market. It's supporting like local people and their entrepreneurship, and that feels good.
I like that angle. I learned a couple, just talking to you, I've actually learned a couple things about myself, right? That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a good way to keep reframing it, right?
Yeah.
So to not be, that's good. That is an ADHD thing, isn't it? There. I mean, I like that what we're talking about. People in general can relate to these things.
Yeah.
But ADHD is like far down the trail, and I'm not like super far down the trail of ADHD. There's definitely people who are further down. Obviously, I'm on the spectrum, but I'm down that trail.
Yeah.
I'm down that trail for sure.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm curious, like coming back, like one of the other things I've noticed about myself, and I think my parents, we were sort of talking about it before, but is that proclivity to like hold on to things or be like, I'm going to save this for just in case. A lot of people with ADHD, they got like a drawer, an everything drawer or whatever, they got stuff.
Well, I've got I could show you some photos, but everything is everywhere. I want to have like a sanctuary zone where the junk has not encroached, but it has encroached. So the struggle is real right now. Winter is actually when it cleans up though, because during the busy season of my job, I just keep getting more and more junk, and it's all good junk, right? Because literally, when people come over, what's all this junk? And they go, hey, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? And they will load up their whole vehicle, whatever they have, with things in my yard and take it home like they just robbed the bank. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, really? Like you wanted all this stuff. I wasn't even saving it for me. I just wanted someone to appreciate it, right? So it's kind of funny, but winter's good. I pick a zone and I go, okay, I got to decide this.
Yeah.
The hardest thing is emotional processing, right?
Yeah.
It's not even, is this useful? Is this not? It's like, what emotions in me do these things trigger?
Yeah.
And going, that's really what it's about. You know what I mean? So it's like, sure, I could get rid of anything, but it's like, if I throw away something that's good, I go, so-and-so would have appreciated this, and I throw it out and they don't get it. Then there's that internal guilt where they're like, they would have really liked this.
Yeah.
And so you feel this little like letdown. And then the hard part about that is actually that kind of like drains your energy too. So there is like this, totally understand how the hoarder situation comes about, because if you throw it out, you got to go through this, letdown. And you go, okay, now what do? I got to go actually sit down on the couch, eat some applesauce and feel bad about it, right? Until I get a little energy boost and deal with something else. Or I could make the energetic step of, I'm going to bring this to you, throw it in my truck, organize how I'm going to get it to you. So either way, it's like time and energy. So it's kind of like I've put myself in a bad situation because of my job. I get all this stuff that whichever way I deal with it, it's kind of going to cost me. There's going to be a price to pay. Yeah. I can't just throw it away. Like I see the people throwing it away guilt-free at the dump, and I go, I kind of envy them, but I kind of go, I know where all that stuff could go that would make someone else happier right now. So it is it's even draining for me seeing other people do it. So I can't even look at that right now. So you know how it is. Everyone's kind of like that a bit, but
Yeah, it's a weird and sad thing, I think, like about like being Like, I think part of why it affects me in a similar way is like my imagination can quickly telescope.
Can
through
telescope.
things.
Exactly.
And so
Imagine a telescope.
it's like, okay, I see this thing, and then I see, oh, it was part of this huge manufacturing process and shipping and all these things.
Someone brought it here and this, and then the grandma owned it, and she gave it to her son, but he died.
And it's in pretty good condition. So maybe one day one of my kin will want it.
And I can tell them the story too, because the story is kind of that. I think with ADHD, part of, like you said, that telescoping is the story, right? Like a lot of things that we do, all these things happen in our head within just like seconds. Like we go down this crazy train of like all these things that this happened, and like you connect all these dots.
Yeah,
right?
these minerals were mined out of a hole by some guy in Africa.
All true.
Like refined in a factory with incredible heat. Like
he sold it. He took that money to feed his family.
It's just a toaster. There's thousands of them in the dump.
I know. So yeah. Anyway, that's part of our world, and I mean, humans for the most part, most humans are geared to like look at stuff and go, whatever, that was cool, but I'll throw it out. You know what I mean? Like human civilization is a process of like, you know, you look at the Romans and like you look at their garbage dumps, and it's just like, man, they threw everything away, right?
Yeah.
They used it once. Romans weren't about recycling. Sure, some stuff, metals and this and that, they recycled, but humans to this day are still, for the most part, not geared to want to recycle. They just want to buy something new, use it once, and they kind of don't even want it to be recycled. They feel like, I'm done with it, I should throw it away. That's kind of part of our psychology, and I see that in myself a little bit too. I have to fight against that. I go, well, I've used this, and now that I've used it, no one else should use it because I have used it, so I'll throw it away. Yeah. Instead of being, okay, well, I could just give that one to Value Village or whatever, you know, kind of thing. So, there's definitely some advantages to the ADHD.
Yeah. There's a couple of strategies I figured out over the years that have helped me, little like mental models, and they don't help, unfortunately, with that emotional part that much. Like part of me is like, there's always that telescoping, and it's like, okay, this is made out of materials that were taken from all over the world and put together by who knows who, and all that still exists, and so that's a burden to carry. But I found one that's like, it was in a podcast. It's like the 20/20 rule. And it's like, could I replace this item within 20 hours for under $20?
That's a good rule. 20 hours,
like,
$20.
If you haven't used it, you don't know when you're going to use it. If it can be replaced in 20 hours for $20, get rid of it.
That's a good rule.
And another one was never have things just in case. Yeah. Have them just for when.
Just for when.
Instead of just in case.
Let me think about that. Like a just in case, like, just in case, right? Well, just for when you kind of know that when is coming.
Yeah, there's like a few specific occasions where
when this happens,
like,
I'll need it.
When I fix my deck, I'm going to need those screws. But like, in case I need to fix something, maybe.
Well, I'm looking right now in my garage, and that's what I'm going through, right? And so part of it, though, is good. It's having rules. It's having logic. It kind of like helps shut off the emotional circuitry, because the problem is when the emotional, and that's where the problem is. Like if I go work a full workday, I come home, I'm tired. The emotional circuitry is at the top. The rational circuitry is kind of down below. So it's hard to do sorting when you're tired and you haven't. But once, like winter, I'm rested. Okay, I got the rational mind. Okay, let's make some rules. Like you say, $20, 20 hours, just in case versus just when I might need it. So bringing those rules to the front of your mind and going, like right now, I'm just in my garage. Like you should come. Anyway, you know how my garage is. You can imagine. I don't have to show you a photo, but here's what I do. I process is I try to pick up a box and go, okay, today I'm going to sort this box and get through it and go, I'll have to make hard decisions about everything here. And there's a few good YouTube channels that I watch. A guy does this. He's got a storage shed full, and every week he picks out a box. But yeah, there's things that I pick up and I go, I can't decide. So it gets shoved back into another box. And I know I should decide, but I think the $20, 20 hour when, just in case, just when, that's probably a better rule. Yeah. If I can't think of when I'm going to use it, just in case may not be enough because I'm getting overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's like that emotional cost. And I think that points to one of the other things I found about the ADHD mind that I think a lot of people don't realize who are like struggling with ADHD is this lack of rules, this lack of structure, because we resist rules, and that's fine and that's healthy.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think it's good to resist inappropriate rules or rules from a false authority. But if you can like develop rules, they make so much easier because if you're like an example from my life I remember that developed was like dishwashing protocols.
Yeah.
Like as a young bachelor, it felt like every time I washed the dishes it was a brand new thing. It was so much work. I was using all this creative energy because I didn't have like a system.
Yeah. So you had to think about, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to do it.
Like, I did the pots, but now the sponge is dirty. I got to clean the sponge and like whatever. And
he's not jumping things around. Oh, why did I stack them here? They go over there. I got to move them here now. And then I'm moving them twice. And where's the drain around?
Yeah. Now when I wash dishes, I'm religious about the system. It's like, okay, I start with organizing all the plates, all the cutlery, all the cups. They're sort of like in their own zones. All the dirty pots and pans, they're like at the back zone because you don't want to wash them first because then you get a dirty sponge.
You get a dirty sponge, I know, and it's called greasy on, and then you gotta wash your plates and now you're spreading the grease around. What are you doing?
Yeah, so there's like this order of operations that over time I've like internalized as a set of rules, and like having rules for either doing your work or getting rid of junk, like what a difference it makes.
Yeah. But again, that part of that could, mentorship, right? Like I've developed rules over the time that I've done it, but I just wish that there had been someone to be like, you know what, when you do this, just do this. And then, or just think about trying it this way first, and then you're going to save yourself a lot of grief. So, I guess it's good, we take after our parents, and so we can look to them for guidance. But I don't think my dad has ever developed very good rules for dealing with his ADHD. So, he's done well in life, and, no discredit to him. But I can't look to him for rules. But I look to him for, he's a very hardworking guy, very considerate. And so, a caring guy, and he likes people and, cares for people. So, you take those basic things and you go, okay, but let's add on, you can say those rules, because you got to make the rules as an ADHD person because it's a challenge.
So one of the other things I found interesting in the like ADHD space is there's sort of two different ways a lot of ADHD people are. Yeah. One is like this is not universal, but a lot of ADHD people, it's like they want to do things, but they just can't even start. And then there's others who like want to do things and they do everything.
They do it.
And I feel like I'm one of the I do everything guys. You're one of the I do everything guys. And I think it's healthier because like you need to really like try things to find out what you can do. But what do you think makes it like, why do you learn to weld instead of hiring someone? Why do you do this? Like where does this impulse that you could figure it out come from?
That's tough. I'll tell you. Okay. So for example, I just went through this. I needed to get, I get a lot of tires on rims in my business, and tires on rim, you can't really dispose of them. You need them separated, the tires from the rim. So I after watching dozens and dozens of YouTube videos, probably over years, I finally settled on, okay, this is probably a good solution. I found, again, searching more, found the good product, got it, ended up working fabulously. Okay. So worked great. And, I was like super, super happy with it. But then here's the problem. I had watched a YouTube video about how to make one. And so right now in my yard, I've got a pile of metal, like about the size of this table, of all the random pieces that I'm going to need to make one. And here's the thing. I don't need to make another one. That one will definitely last as long as I need it to. But my brain is so fixated on the idea, like, I bet you could make one of those. You got all the pieces, you could cut this and that. And so I could just like go, you know what? I could just get rid of all that and never make one and go through my life. And but the brain, then I would suffer an emotional cost. Like, And then the problem would be as I'd go through life, I would later on see another piece that I could use to make that, and I'd be like, oh, maybe I'll save that and start thinking to make it again. So I've learned to accept that, because I've gone through the process of just like getting mad and just throwing everything out. But then you just end up, your brain just goes, just get that back again. So it really is, there is a struggle there. You're going to have to learn to live with your brain as it is, because it's never, my brain's never going to give up on the idea of making one of those. It just is not.
Yeah.
So So sometimes the neighbor goes, "Oh, it's funny how you do that. You just like, you'll just go pick something totally random. You just go, da, 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 da." Okay. And I'll do it. And okay, I could probably build one of those in under a day if I really went at it. And then I'd be super happy. I could have 2 of them, maybe give one away because I don't need 2. I don't know why I built one. I had to build one. And then, you move on. So,
Yeah.
but that's just one aspect. The problem is I have so many hobbies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just, it's a blessing and a curse, right? So,
Yeah, I feel like the blessing, it is a blessing and a curse, and I feel like part of that is like it's a source and a vacuum for confidence. Like,
yeah.
because the people who are afraid to try anything, they're not developing confidence. Because I think when you're like, I'm going to take on this project, and you do it, that builds confidence.
Yeah.
And if you're cool to do that over and over again, like you're
keep
learning
going
to cook, you're learning to build things, you're learning to
Yeah.
renovate things, confidence grows. But
But
also,
where it undermines you is, go ahead.
yeah, like you take on a few of these, and then you got a project you started 3 years ago piled in the yard.
Yeah, not all of them are getting finished. Some of them are still sitting there and going, well, I could get to that. But the problem is there's 2 projects piled on top of it. So do I move those 2 and do that one? Yeah. But also that part of it not finishing some of them and taking on too many, that does undermine your confidence because you kind of don't focus on all the things that you did actually accomplish. Yeah. You're always surrounded by the projects that you didn't finish because they're not finished. Yeah. You finish something, it goes somewhere, it gets used, it finds a place, but you just go, oh, you got all these ones that didn't get finished. So there's that balance where you got to scale it back to not have too many unfinished projects because then you're like, oh, that's unfinished. And that's always like it's a little kick to you.
Yeah, they're staring you in the face.
Staring you in the face instead of like, man, I did that.
So since you've it sounds like relatively recently found out you have ADHD.
Well, I was in my 30s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was I would say mid 30s is about right.
Yeah. So have you found your management has gotten better? You've has knowing that helped you?
Oh, definitely. Like I say, when after Mary pointed that out, that was finally when I started to go, oh, that's what I'm doing. Like that's consciously, I'm unconsciously making the decision because if you don't realize you're jumping around, you're just like, oh, I'm just doing this, and you feel good about it because you're just doing what your ADHD brain is telling you to do. But then your intellect can step in and say, okay, Nasim, do you want to start this other project when you've got 5 going on? Because that's what your brain is telling you to do. And this is why you're doing it, and other people can see that. They're watching you do this. It's not just you who's seeing that. So again, making it about other people is helpful there because other people man, he just started 20 projects. Does that So there's a little bit of that humiliation. Okay, don't just wait on this one, right? Don't start on that.
Yeah.
Try to finish a few more before you start.
Sort of developed a little bit more
or give up on them.
Self-negotiation.
Give up on them. Go, you know what? Maybe it's time after these years to go, okay, I'm going to give up on this project.
Yeah. I'm never going to build my own sewing machine.
I'm never going to build my own sewing machine. Exactly, right? I go, well, doing a couch is on my bucket list, right? Okay, to learn how to do the buttons and all that. But maybe I'm never going to do it. But here's the thing, Liam. I will not take home a couch at this phase of my life. I mean, unless I have an empty garage, I am not taking home a couch that needs to be recovered because think about the amount of space and material and time and switching gears from learning. Oh my goodness, I cannot do that. Even though I really want to. I really, really, really want to.
Yeah. I think that's one of the other things about learning to manage the ADHD too. I think so many people have so much disappointment because there are things they want to do, and realistically, you can't. You can't do everything you want to do. You can do a lot of things you want to do.
Do a lot of things, yeah.
But you can't do everything you want to do, and I think people feel cheated, that's part of the disability. I can't do that thing I want to do.
And I'll tell you, there's something else too. I've tried early on when I got my first place, when I first got my mobile home and I was living by myself, I was trying to just be okay, well, I got 16 hours in a day, and I just tried to go day after day. And the problem with that is, obviously you're heading on a path of burnout. Mm-hmm. But what I realized too is that so many times, winter especially, work slows down, and I go, I'm going to force myself to not do the things that like, okay, you know what? This needs to get done. This needs to get done. But today I'm going to sit on the couch. And what happens is you let your brain gap out and space out, and it'll solve some of your problems. You'll be like, actually, you don't even need to do that at all. Just do this. And so some of your problems that you were just like grinding through all these hard problems. So I got to do, I'll do this. I'll finish this. I'll build this. And if you'd slow down, your brain will come up with a better, easier solution. Like there's a downside to that because I know lazy people who always know the right way to do things and never do anything. They're like, oh, I could have done it that way. I go, yeah, but you haven't literally done anything.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at your life and you don't do anything. You just don't do, you always know what to do. And so maybe, and I've got a friend like that and I keep him close, even though he pisses me off because he almost always knows the right way to do things. But he never does anything. If he can avoid lifting his finger to put a spoon in his mouth, he will hire a chimpanzee to do it, or you know what I mean? He does not want. And so clever, being clever like that, seeing that, yeah, not always just doing, and not feeling guilty about not doing things, because you got to give yourself time, because your brain will figure out a really smart way to do it. And you'll be like, oh man, why have I been doing it this stupid way all this time? And just give your brain a chance to and not trying to think about solving a problem. Just give your brain a chance to not think, and it'll solve problems. Anyway, that's my.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the my friend coined this term, he told me, called like active laziness. And that is one of the funny things about my brain. I've noticed a lot of times where I'll spend so much extra effort to avoid some uncomfortable effort.
And your brain, you're just trying to like work out what's an easier way around, even though you're not telling it to do that. It's kind of like, oh, what if I did this? What if I did this? What if I did this? And then maybe halfway through you come up with a better solution that you try. Yeah. Or maybe it just keeps trying for days, weeks, and eventually Kitty goes, are you going to move that? You're like, no, I'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Like, oh, I want a sweater that's made of wool, but I don't want it to be like cost a fortune and be made by kids in a sweatshop.
I'll make one myself.
So I'll make one. And it's like, oh, there's a whole month of my life. And honestly, more money than just buying a sweater, because real wool is expensive.
A month of your life? Like, did this sweater cost less than $3,000 to $4,000? Then yeah, you probably wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, so many little projects like that.
Oh, I know. I mean, and if I give myself too much space, then yeah, I would probably want to do almost everything. So, it's good. Like, having a job where people ask you to do things, it keeps you focused. Because the other problem is, people can kind of tell I can know how to do things. So they ask, hey, could you do this? I'm like, yeah. So like that little ADHD brain goes, hey, you could help this person. You could do this. But it would take me 3 days to reorganize and get tools and watch a YouTube video and do all this to figure out how to do it. Right. Then I go, but then I go and do this, and it's like a $50 job, and and then I had to like empty a bunch of tools out of my truck that I needed for something else, and I go, oh, I can't do it. Like I went to school to do an electrician some years ago after I finished school, and I can still do it, whatever, and I know how to do it. But the problem is, for me to gear up often, I go, okay, get all these tools, go to Home Depot, and oh, I need to buy all these supplies. Well, it might take me 3 hours in Home Depot because everything's moved and I haven't done anything in 6 months, and I got to research something. So I try to avoid doing electrical work, even though I know how to do it, because it just eats up so much time and whatever. So you know what I mean? So, and there's a lot of things like that I know how to do, but I try to avoid doing it because it will eat up so much time, even though I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah,
specializing.
That's a tough thing to do. It comes with maturity. You're talking about like wanting to, like, you wish you had mentors. You wanted to be in a mentorship role a little more. Imagine there are some 20 or 30-year-old guys who are like
unaware, completely.
They're trying to figure out what to do. Maybe they've been told that they should get a degree or whatever, and they're kind of like not really feeling it. What kind of advice would you give to young guys dealing with a fast brain?
That's a tough one. I mean, I feel like it should be identified in school more, like, like that personality type, because it just, until you just, the problem with being a human in general is when you meet people, you kind of go, you converse with them, you'd be like, hey, I feel like you're a human, you're talking, you're the same as me. Like later on in life, I've learned, like I've met people, like guys that I like, okay, but like they have been diagnosed through whatever the medical system to be like literally almost incapable of looking after themselves, like whatever the word is nowadays, like, but they're guys who are sarcastic. They got like a lot of good bro camaraderie. You like the guy, but you realize if this dude had to figure out how to do almost anything, and I mean like anything, they could not do it. Like I just like just the most basic things, like just you watch them. Like I hired this guy once, and I was trying to explain the difference between what the dump considers clean wood and dirty wood. Okay, clean wood basically means wood that has not been painted or stained or is covered with any kind of grease or chemicals.
Yeah.
Dirty wood would be anything else. Painted, stained, grease, that kind of thing. So I explained it to him once. He didn't get it. We tried again. Didn't get it. And this went on. I hired this guy for months. And then eventually I explained it one time and I was getting really exasperated. And then he just comes out and he goes, to me, wood is wood. And I realized this dude was never, and I mean never and I go, if he's not gonna, but a great guy, like he's making jokes in the truck with me, you know, like, and like, so his humanity is there, but I go, so like for me to find another person to go, oh, I recognize that ADHD, I'd be tricky. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Because I don't know, like, I don't know that I'm at that skill level to recognize that in a person. Or if I would hope maybe if they would see in me go, hey, you know what? Maybe Nasim could give me some advice. That's kind of what I'm hoping for more, because I don't know. I try to give advice to people and I think, wait a minute, that person is totally different than me. I can't give them advice.
Yeah.
What am I doing there? Their experience in life and their brain is just totally different. So that really, I think, is the big stumbling block, you know? So even when people come to me for advice, I feel hesitant because I go, I really got to find out if my advice is going to be good, because now that I understand myself better, I got to know that they're going to be somewhat like me. So yeah, it's a tough game you're in, my friend.
Yeah.
Trying to be coaching and recognizing people. Like the fact that you latched onto me, I kind of was unsure at first. I go, ADHD, I'm not sure if Liam gets me. And now that we've been talking for this time, I go, oh, you know what? I think Liam really does get me.
Yeah.
I think he really, really gets me, actually. And I get him on another level too. So that's really cool, actually, that's like that.
Yeah. And, you know, I think you actually pointed to something else in that last statement. It's not advice, but I think it's important and is one of the issues, again, in this ADHD space. Like, part of the issue with this ADHD diagnosis is it hinges on like feeling like productive and disciplined and blah,
all
blah,
the things that society tells regular people who, if they follow that advice, will be successful.
Yeah. And like, yeah, productivity and discipline, amazing things. If you can cultivate them, please do.
Please do.
But like you said, like kindness, humor, ability to like just be a friend. Like, you don't really need a lot of intellect or you don't need a lot of much if you can have those qualities and you can still bring something to your community. So like, maybe you're not actually meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe to you, wood is wood, right?
Maybe exactly. To me is wood. And so that guy, I'm happy to say that I'm still his friend.
Yeah.
And to me, does it matter that he would fail an IQ test? Doesn't matter one bit. Would I help him at any time? You know what I mean? Just so recognizing that basic humanity. I guess the thing about us is we're high functioning in a lot of ways, but we're very different than the mainstream. So in that way, it allows us to be empathic to people that society would be like, you know what, that dude is a dummy. He's a dummy, right? Well, yeah, who cares? But you know what? In society's eyes, I'm a dummy. And I'll tell you how I know this, okay? When I graduated, I was the top student in my school, okay? Like, I got the top marks and everything. But because of my different mental capacities, other than just strict academic stuff, I didn't follow any kind of normal successful career. And I know this because the other day, like, I got jumped from computer science 8 to computer science 12. And and everything, all this stuff. And I knew other people, and they were in computer science too. But I saw one guy he showed up as a friend ad, and I go, wait a minute, I graduated with that guy. He's like a senior manager at Microsoft. Like the dude is obvious, but like intellectually in high school, I could run circles around like all these people. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was my brain was doing 30 other things at the time. And that eventually led to depression because, in high school and maybe I don't know if I did have a mood disorder, but because I didn't know how to work with all the different things that were going on with my brain, I wasn't able to follow any kind of normal career path. And so, guys who had, I don't want to judge them because I don't care, but like way less, raw intellectual capacity in computer science and math, were wildly more successful because their brains do not jump around every 5 seconds or every 2 minutes or whatever, or don't feel the need to buy something and then spend the next month trying to build because the point of buying it was to not build it, but I still have to build it. So that was the point, to save me time and effort. But no, it has so far not saved me any time or effort or space. It's actually created more.
Yeah.
I know anyway, you see how it is. I know you get that.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like, I think luck is a really big part of it too that people don't even recognize. Like I just listened to the Elon Musk biography by I think Walter Isaacson, the audiobook.
Yeah. And
like he's called himself Asperger's. He's got on some kind of spectrum. Listening to that book, he is just thrown out the right way to do things a million times, and he has just been like, I'm going to do it my way.
I'm going to start 12 companies,
and I'm going to do it totally differently, and I'm not going to do it like anyone else has ever done it. And time again, luck has been on his side, and he's now like...
Luck has been on his side, and you need that. But is Elon the most successful ADHD? Is he ADHD? I don't know. I haven't read the book to know.
He hasn't identified with that label, but listening to it, there's certainly a lot that's pretty relatable about him. Like, I think there's a lot of overlap on these
overlap.
spectrums.
I mean, whatever. You don't need to throw labels on everyone. I mean, he's obviously, incredibly high functioning, but also has, some weird dark triad traits of how he treats people. But, that goes together is, everyone wants to be a good manager until they're a manager and you have to manage someone and they're making you insane and you want to just throw them off a building. You know what I mean? Like, and I've learned that about myself too, right? Like, go, oh, I thought I was a nice guy till I had to be a manager. And I go, you know what? It's probably better to not be a manager, for myself anyways. Cause anyway, so yeah, that's part of it too, right?
Yeah.
I don't know,
so
right?
Working solo. Yeah. Yeah. Good to work solo sometimes.
Good to work solo.
Yeah.
Well, for myself, I mean, I know especially I do need like working solo. Like even when people want to help me, I just kind of go, oh, I just get uncomfortable. Like I did a job the other day and the client wanted to help me and I was like, oh, I don't. That's why I don't. They're like, is it just you? I'm like, yeah, I do everything myself, like everything. And so he wanted to help me and it was like, I kind of got to turn part of myself off because my brain wants to just figure out everything. So whatever, I'm gracious and I accept the help and that's good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like you said, advice is hard, but like, what do you think?
Advice is hard.
What do you think about if you wanted to like leave any final words for like some people who are maybe they're trying to pick up a little business. Maybe their friend just got arrested.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, because we're talking exactly, aren't you? How do you get him? Here's good advice, kids. Find someone who's a criminal, and then start a business with them. They'll go back to jail eventually, and then you'll inherit their business. Not maybe the best advice there, but I mean, I think ADHD people in general look at before they want to. I mean, I don't know if that is the case, but myself, before I do anything, I want to like learn all the skills that go into the business. But most business people, I don't think do that. When you talk to most business people, they seem like, to me anyways, they seem like total dummies who don't even understand their own business. You know what I mean? They just go, oh, I'm going to start this business. And they start and they get, because they can delegate, I guess is right. They're not reliant on them needing to like, and there's something good to be said about, a CEO who constantly learning about his company and learning everything. But I guess that would be the advice. And I think I would have gone further is you find people that you trust and then trust them to do that. So, yeah, that would be it, because the ADHD mind always wants to just learn how to, just pick up on all the things, and you can be like, okay, well, this person can do that. And so, I don't need to do that. So yeah, there's that, letting go and trust in life. And I don't know. I mean, your own experience might lead you to that path a little easier than others. And who knows, man. But yeah, that you got to try. At the end of the day, you got to trust in life, because, your ADHD brain's trying to figure out how to do everything. But you go, you know what, dude, guess what? You're not going to figure out how to do everything. So you got to just trust in the process a little bit. And that also means trusting in other people who might or may not let you down. Very often they might brilliantly help, because the world is built. An ADHD mind may not accept it, but the world is built on people trusting other people to do things.
Yeah.
And the ADHD mind is like, oh, I don't. I'll just and just going and starting things. And so I guess so that is part of it there. I guess that's part of it. Yeah.
Have more trust.
Have more trust, because that you didn't build, the ADHD mind didn't build the world. Humans working together built the world. If Elon Musk is ADHD, the only way he's getting things done is he's hired hundreds of thousands of people who know how to work together as a team and trust each other. Sure, he may be at the top, and he may just be flipping, his brain may be just flipping around like, a coin toss. It's probably not like that, obviously. But yeah, you can have an ADHD manager, and an ADHD person can fit in a business, but the world is built on people cooperating and working together. That's actually how the world works.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Anyway.
So I think this is mostly airing BC, Kelowna, Western Canada anyways.
Yeah.
If someone around the Okanagan Valley needs some junk services.
Don't call me. I'm a terrible dude. No, don't support me. No. Anyway, no, I'm retiring this year. I don't know. I'm trying to make $1 million in Dogecoin or whatever. But no, you can reach me at OK Junk. Just look up OK and then junk. And I'm kind of like a junk counselor, I would say. So, people often have a hard time letting go of stuff, because a lot of guys think, oh, it's going to get thrown out. Give it to me. Don't worry. It's going to sit in my garage till I give it away, or it's going to get donated and this and that. People are constantly coming into my driveway and picking up free stuff. I don't even care if I sell it most of the time. I would say more than 70, 80% of the stuff that I get, I don't need to sell it. I just need to list it for free. Someone's going to drive over and pick it up, and boom. And that makes me happy. That makes them happy. And that should make the customer who's giving it to me happy. So boom. Can't get better advertisement than that, right?
Beautiful. Okay, junk. Thanks,
Junk.
Nasim.
Hey, thank you, Liam. That was actually really great. That was great.